My son, Chris, was the most handsome, intelligent young man.
Soft-spoken, but funny.
Funny. Sarcastic.
Yeah,
He cared about, like, secretly nice.
An amazing brother and friend to me. He had a really big heart.
Hell of a teammate, hell of a friend. You know, I just think of him next to me and like helping me through it. Out there enjoying the sun and the trails.
He was my brother, and it was really hard to lose that.
My name's Brenda Taddeo. I lost a son, my youngest son, to suicide almost 6 years ago.
For me, my friendship, we were inseparable for, 22 years of our lives, playing outside every single day in the summer. We were at the same schools. We were almost twins, I felt.
I was the bossy older sister, so, I said, we're gonna be friends too. I'm gonna make you do everything with me. I would call him and say, hey, I wanna do this and I'm not going by myself, so. And he would say, okay, that's fine, I guess.
Chris was pretty introverted and quiet. And sometimes that bothered him. That was something that bothered him. He didn't feel as social as he would like to be.
And I told him when he got into 7th grade, you gotta find some kind of team or sport or something to do, like after school. And he chose running.
When Chris started running, he was sort of a middle-of-the-road runner. And then he went to a couple summer camps throughout high school, and we noticed by his senior year, he had really just taken off.
He was friends with people on his running teams. After college, they all sort of trickled away and moved out of town, moved out of state. So he didn't really have anybody anymore.
Chris, I think, struggled a lot with his transition once he graduated from college. He had these expectations of himself. There was just something in him that he became more and more discouraged. The first question that I had, and I said out loud to my dad, why? And he said, I don't know. Especially I had just talked to him. And I felt like, I just talked to him. How could this have happened?
That day of his death runs through my head every day too. And I have to try to set it aside and put it out of my mind. But we miss him so much. I just miss him and think about him every day.
Sometimes, some people, the first year can be tough because you're just, to some degree, you're in shock. I think that second year, you start to realize he's not back. He's not going to be back.
I felt like that can't be right. I can't, I went through like a period of denial that night where it's like, no, like they've got it wrong. They're confused. There's still a chance. And, like that week after, I went back to work the next week and I just dove back into work a little bit. And I think I put off some of the, serious confronting of what happened.
It sort of felt like, he's away at school, he's away at college, and he'll be coming back someday. Well, eventually I learned that he's never coming back.
All of these questions kind of like, how sad was he? Had he been sad his whole life, or just after a transition back home after college? I felt like there was like a never-ending stream of all these questions that we were left with. For whatever reason, he was scared to tell somebody, to tell us, to tell even a doctor that he felt like that.
We didn't understand depression, that how can depression be that severe? But it can be debilitating.
I mean, I think there's always a period of time where you feel guilty, that I didn't do something. I could have done something.
You can't go there all the time. You just can't. If you learn more about mental health, that you can be better prepared, so I can maybe help somebody else.
I loved him with everything I had, and that was all I could do for him.
I think the hardest part about the marriage after the death of a child is no two people grieve the same way. You might be in a stage where you cry a lot and the other person is not. So if you understand that, then you can help get through it.
The days after, I kept on closing the bedroom door. And I think my husband wanted the door open to see his room. But then I realized this is where we raised our kids, and played in the backyard and played with each other and their toys. That house was their home. And I thought to myself, I have a lot more good memories being in that home than the one traumatic, devastating, bad memory. So I started coming to church just a few months after he died. I saw a new light and a new hope. I joined a compassionate friends group, and this is for parents that have lost children.
I know Brenda will internalize more than I do. Sometimes you say things at the meetings, you open up, and I find, she's feeling this. It's okay to have those feelings. They're natural feelings. There's nothing wrong with them.
My first time I walked in, I was just amazed that there was so many other parents that had felt like me and had gone through losing a child. It was just so hard to believe, but they knew how I felt.
We were fortunate that we had support. We had family, we had friends. Those kind of things impacted our lives.
It's always going to hurt. It's always going to, be a part of me that's not there. But I think over time, you learn to rely on other people a little bit better.
I had really great friends who were willing to talk to me when I needed to talk. They were willing to listen. They weren't scared to talk about Chris. They weren't scared to say his name. They weren't scared to say, I went for a run today and I thought about Chris the whole time. We would have wanted Chris to seek mental health treatment, to see a doctor. So how could we not do that for ourselves? My therapist let me talk freely about Chris, about what was bothering me. And I said, there are sometimes I will see something in Wegmans and I just want to cry. And he said, you know what? Why don't you? But it seemed like there would always be some sign from him to keep going or to get back up the next morning and do it all again.
The time that Chris died, I weighed as much as I ever did. One of the local road races that they have a 5K and a 10K, so they decided to name the 5K after Chris. And so when that happened, I said, I'd really like to do that race.
The first 5K race was dedicated to Chris Daniel. I just couldn't believe the overwhelming numbers. People that loved him and looked up to him and considered him a friend.
I can see, I think more now, how much you can touch somebody's life just because people have touched my life by helping me.
I'm not afraid to talk to people about their feelings. Like if I see somebody who I think is struggling, I go up to them and I ask point blank, like, are you okay? I care about you. If something's going on, like, let's talk about it.
But reading and understanding myself and finding how other people got through it helped me get through it.
I just wish overall that we were all more open talking about mental health in general and loss too.
I think I just notice how people are more, like if someone is struggling, I'm just a little more like in tune to like how he's feeling now because of Chris.
Having like a network of people who all like knew him and just kind of be there for each other has been super helpful.
You can give meaning to your life, meaning to your child's life. If I'm helping other people, that makes me feel better.
I remember feeling hopeful doing his first race. I'm at that place now where I just want to create this culture where it's okay to say I'm struggling. And I'm very hopeful that more people are going to be helped, just everybody together. It just makes my heart feel full and happy. It's just amazing.